Time Check, brought to you by BioStrath Immune with added zinc. Distributed by H&J Enterprises Limited.
Good evening and welcome. You're watching the 7 o'clock news on CNC3. I'm Ria Rampal.
I'm Ryan Bachu.
Hi, I'm Jassim Marek with Sport.
And I'm Sigoni Mohammed with your weather report.
Let's tell you what's making the news tonight. The U.S.'s fight against drug cartels enters a new phase, with Trinidad and Tobago joining the effort against organized crime.
New joint security posts are coming, but the TTPS says there's still no decision on who will man them.
Ahead in sport, the Windies are denied their first home series win against Pakistan since 2000, while the visitors snap an 8-match away from home losing streak.
Hot, sunny and feeling warmer. Temperatures rise while rain chances stay low. We're talking temps and much more in the full forecast.
Trinidad and Tobago's role in a new United States-led regional security initiative is gaining support from security experts, but also drawing concern.
The United States Southern Command has activated a joint task force, Western Hemisphere, to coordinate military operations against drug cartels and transnational criminal organizations, with this country among its regional partners. Sources say the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force will be part of the initiative, strengthening intelligence sharing, surveillance and multinational operations across the region. The coalition was initially established as the Shield of Americas with 11 countries during a meeting convened by President Donald Trump in Miami in March. It now includes Argentina, the Bahamas, Belize, Bolivia, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, the Dominican Republic, Ecuador, El Salvador, Guatemala, Guyana, Honduras, Jamaica, Panama, Paraguay, Peru and Trinidad and Tobago. Former National Security Minister Gary Griffith says the partnership will enhance regional security.
What we are seeing here is trying to work good against bad. And trying to get the military forces to work together, not just in operations, but sharing of intelligence. And that will play a very big part towards assisting us to deal with drug trafficking, human trafficking, the transfer with illegal weapons through CARICOM. And with the U.S. having the capacity with the type of assets that they have, it is of value for Trinidad and Tobago to work hand in hand with the U.S. in such an operation.
However, regional security expert Dr. Gavin Hira is warning the move could isolate Trinidad and Tobago from its CARICOM neighbors and reshape the country's foreign policy.
We must understand that based on our participation, must always be guided by our national interest. Trinidad and Tobago must ensure that decisions taken within this alliance do not and should not undermine our long-standing relationships with CARICOM or create unnecessary regional tensions. The objective should be to strengthen our security while preserving regional unity. That must be a priority.
We reached out to Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar for comment on Trinidad and Tobago's role in the new task force and whether the government has formally committed any personnel or assets. Up to news time, we had no response.
We also reached out to several regional leaders, including Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley and Antigua and Barbuda Prime Minister Gaston Brown. We await their responses. Now, international relations expert Dr. Anthony Gonzalez says this latest move reinforces the American government's move to ensure they control the Western Hemisphere. He says the TNT government sees the Americans as an important partner in its effort to curb crime and thus will support any initiative brought forward by the United States.
I think the government is seeking to get American assistance in the security area. But the government seems to think that they need to fight organized crime in the country. They need to fight the transnational cartels and so forth. And they need the Americans to do that. So the Americans are coming in and providing assistance. As I said earlier, we see them involved in training, probably giving intelligence and so forth to the government and so forth to do that. And they probably provide some equipment and so forth. So the government seems to think that they need the Americans to fight that because they cannot fight it on their own.
Dr. Gonzalez says it is left to be seen how long the policy will last, as many American government officials are opposed to Trump's policies.
Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar is addressing concerns over whether there are enough police officers to staff the government's 30 proposed joint police and army posts.
The opposition has questioned how the posts will be staffed given existing manpower demands on the police service. But in a social media post promoting the initiative, the Prime Minister says new recruits are continuing to join the TTPS, increasing the number of trained officers available. In May, Homeland Security Minister Roger Alexander said the government was moving to increase the police's strength from 7,800 officers to 10,000. The Prime Minister says the new posts will support existing police stations, strengthen patrols, and place police and military personnel closer to communities, major roads, transport routes, and busy junctions.
Meanwhile, police say discussions are still to be held on how the TTPS will staff government's new joint police and army posts across the country. Earlier this week, Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar announced plans to establish 30 joint posts over the next 4 months at major highways and intersections, saying communities have been calling for a stronger security presence. Deputy Police Commissioner Junior Benjamin later said the idea was developed during earlier discussions between the TTPS and the Homeland Security Ministry. At today's TTPS media briefing, Corporate Communications Manager ASP Joanne Archie was asked how many officers would be assigned to the posts and whether the service has the manpower to support the initiative. She said those discussions have not yet taken place.
Well, as it relates to managing crime on the whole, human resource management is a key part of that. And as Mr. Kirk said, we welcome all resources that can be that we can input into the fight against crime. So it's an issue of managing the resources, balancing off where you can take officers from and where you can balance off where is needed most.
The Prime Minister has also said 4 of the 30 locations are still to be finalized. In Tobago, Divisional Commander Senior Superintendent Rodhill Kirk says officials have already identified the Shervan Road district as their preferred location if the initiative is extended to the island.
The reason why we chose that area, Shervan Road, has been our district with one of the most amount of activities. There are a lot of commercial activities, and in terms of even looking at our crime stats, we intend to use that area as a platform if Tobago is being considered as one of those areas to have the post.
Meanwhile, Tobago police say serious crime has risen only slightly this year from 480 to 487 cases, driven mainly by break-ins. The division has recorded 7 homicides so far this year, up from 4 during the same period last year. Cook says their detection rate is 27%.
To date, 15 preventive detention orders were issued in Tobago, with 13 people in custody. Now, the people who live and work in some of the communities selected for new joint police and army posts say they are encouraged by the plan and hope it helps curb crime.
Jensen Levend reports.
By the end of the year, the country is expected to have 30 new joint police army posts. Among the 24 areas identified included Grand Bazaar Interchange in the middle of a healthy and active business community and another busy hub, Arangwes between Johnny King Road and Bridge Road. Arangwes businessman Mahesh Chotu welcomes the idea.
Well, I was informed there was putting a police post to the Savannah, by the Savannah, which I think is a good thing, for the business community. It's safer and better.
And this area has been known for crime, high crime area?
Oh, no, not really. I wouldn't say so, no. Not really. We never had no incident, no problem so far.
So you don't think that this area needs one, but if they get one, they'll be happy?
Well, I think so, yeah, because, crime is now and it doesn't know.
In Grand Bazaar, 2 entrepreneurs echoed Chotu's sentiments.
This is a very good thing to do. Because there's plenty of crime around.
It's a good thing. I believe it will help a lot with crime in the area, because sometimes we're here from 4 o'clock. And when we come, there's a lot of people just wandering the place. So, yeah, it will help.
Another proposed site is off the Lady Young Road in Mova, near the walkover, just a 2-minute drive from the Mova police station. Now, the community has made headlines several times this year in the wake of increased gang violence. Resident Ulrich Stapleton is happy about the additional security.
I find that makes sense because sometimes you don't get them to reach, you know. But if the police post close, they could still do something. That's what I like. And that is important to me.
Stapleton says there was once a police post on a compound of the Mova Community Center, and he is looking forward to its return.
Police posts are nothing new to Trinidad and Tobago, and during this government's first incarnation between 2010 and 2015, the Duncan Street Police Post was constructed. Within its first 24 hours, an illegal firearm was recovered. It is statistics like these that the government hopes that they can duplicate. Now, despite its presence, there were serious crimes, including murders that took place just across the street. However, government and some citizens are boasting that the presence of police posts make a significant difference in crime reduction. Jensen Lavend, CNC3 News, Duncan Street.
All right, thank you so much, Jensen. Well, still to come in the news, new stats show 6,000 jobs lost. Now, trade union leaders are asking why more voices from within the labor movement aren't speaking up.
From prison cells to public projects, a security expert is calling for convicted offenders to help rebuild the nation through hard labor.
Coming up in sport, Henry and Mills advance in the women's 100 at the World Athletics Under-20 Championship.
We finally said yes to onion rings. Now it's your turn to say yes to the new KFC onion ring chicken sandwich for $34.95, or get a regular side of rings for just $15. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Trade union leaders are criticizing the silence of some labor organizations amid reports of 6,000 job losses in the first quarter of this year and uncertainty over the future of Hilton Trinidad.
The figures come from the latest Central Statistical Office labor force survey. Union leaders warn the employment situation could worsen in the coming weeks. That follows reports that Hilton Trinidad could cease operations on September 18th if a new agreement with state-owned ETEC is not reached. Up to 300 workers could lose their jobs if the hotel closes. Responding to public concerns over the lack of comment from some major unions, Big Woo says labor organizations have a duty to independently assess government policies and hold decision makers to account.
We have no problems with PSA or any or OWT or any union having a relationship with any government. But the thing is, when it comes to the workers and issues affecting workers, they should take a labor stand and not remain silent.
NATUC says it cannot speak for other trade unions, but insists it will continue to speak out on issues affecting workers' rights.
We cannot call to be a stakeholder. We cannot say that we want tripartite discussions. If things affect the society, we are silent and we would not remain silent.
Commenting on the possible departure of Hilton Trinidad, NATUC says the matter should never have been allowed to escalate into a public dispute.
Meanwhile, Big Woo is calling on the government to assure Hilton workers that their jobs will be protected while negotiations with ETEC continue, saying such a commitment would help maintain industrial stability. Now, the potential departure of the Hilton Trinidad from its Port of Spain home is raising concerns over jobs, tourism, and the future direction of one of the country's most recognizable hospitality brands.
Former Tourism Minister Randall Mitchell says the hotel is more than just a tourism asset, while economist Dr. Jamelia Harris and Vice President of the Tourism Industry Association, Charles Cavallo, urge that clarity is now needed on government's plans for the property.
More in tonight's Business Watch from Geisha Kalesa Alonso.
Former Tourism Minister Randall Mitchell is warning that the announcement that Hilton Trinidad could discontinue operations from September 18th is creating uncertainty for workers, suppliers, investors, and the wider tourism sector. He says the hotel is more than just a tourism asset, describing it as a national institution that has played a central role in the country's hospitality sector for more than 6 decades. Mitchell says the issue is not simply about the future of a building.
The key word for me is certainty. Tourism depends on certainty and predictability. Workers need certainty about their jobs. Conference organizers and visitors booking months in advance need certainty. The success of Carnival 2027, for example, depends on the certainty and the certain availability of hotel rooms.
Mitchell adds that airlines, tour operators, suppliers, event promoters and investors all depend on clear signals about what comes next for the property. He argues the prolonged uncertainty is damaging confidence in the tourism sector and the wider economy. And the Tourism Industry Association of Trinidad and Tobago Vice President Charles Cavallo is also calling for clarity. He says the tourism industry needs to know whether government intends to retain the Hilton brand or pursue another international operator. Cavallo says the debate should focus on government's long-term vision for the property rather than the cost of maintaining.
The cost of renovation and upkeep is not a big amount of money because an international hotel spends about $35 million a year just keeping a hotel up to standard. What we do in Trinidad and Tobago, we let everything fall apart until it's too late.
And economist Dr. Jamila Harris agrees that employees are likely to be concerned, especially following reports from the Central Statistical Office showing an estimated 6,000 jobs were lost between December 2025 and March 2026.
Suppliers to Hilton would also be affected by whatever decision is reached. If a hotel remains on this site or not, there will also be implications for the tourism sector, particularly around Carnival time.
She says years of discussion without a final agreement does little to support perceptions of Trinidad and Tobago's ease of doing business. And now for today's energy and forex prices. Geisha Kaulesa Alonso, CNC3 Business Watch.
Government's plan to reintroduce a program requiring convicted prisoners sentenced to hard labor to participate in public cleanup exercises is drawing mixed reactions from trade union leaders. NATUC says that despite their convictions, prisoners must be treated with dignity and respect. Big Woo, however, warns that prison labor must not be used to replace paid workers. The union notes that thousands of CPAP and URP workers were recently dismissed from similar public cleanup roles. It questions whether the government is seeking to replace regular employment with a workforce that does not have collective bargaining rights or industrial relations protections. Big Woo says it is challenging those dismissals in the industrial court, maintaining that workers were terminated without valid reasons or due process. Meanwhile, NATUC says more details are needed before they can fully assess how the program would be implemented.
And security expert Paul Nahus says using prisoners for community work is not a bad suggestion, but described it as a complex issue. Nahus says the success of this is dependent on the framework and how it is managed. He suggested that it should provide meaningful rehabilitation and tangible benefits which lead to reduced recidivism.
The public likes to say that or likes to see that people are being punished. And I'm not disagreeing because I have zero sympathy for criminals. I really don't. However, we have to understand that it's a public safety issue, that being punitive alone does not deter repeat offenders usually. It does not stop the career criminals. A lot of times it even desensitizes people that go in to it who become career criminals if you look at it as a punitive measure only.
Nahu says while the idea is not a bad one, it will require additional security measures which will affect prison officers.
Those are guys on the way out. Those are guys that are coming. Some of them come at the end of the sentence or so. And those people, those prisoners, are assessed by the prison. They don't just put someone in a program and do this and that. They are assessed by the prison, and the prisons, I think, do a very good job of the assessment. And also now you speak about the actual security in terms of somebody escaping, in terms of somebody going for hit, these type of things. it will create a strain on the prison system in that the security is not just put a guard with a gun.
Nahu says it is more important to ensure that the prisoners are equipped with skills to reintegrate into society upon release. Well, on the back of that story, we asked, do you agree with the proposal to expand the use of prisoners for public work in the community?
Here's what some of you had to say.
It could be positive and also negative.
In what sense?
In
what sense?
Well, sometimes when they're out in the open, so they tend to even violate themselves and do wrong things now. But when they are inside, they learn to do something. And that will help to keep them away from trouble.
These people and them really need rehabilitation first before they could do anything. That's what I think. That's my personal view on it.
Yes, they say everybody deserves a fair chance, but why take people like that and put them to do this kind of work when you have people already free who needs that employment?
Yeah, no problem with that. Once the prisoners, well, they well behave and whatnot, and they change from the person they was before. I mean, everybody could get a chance.
You come, you cut your grass and you go back in jail, no problem. But we are the workers now who used to work URP and getting me paid. No, I used to work URP and now my URP cut.
You know they used to do that before? They used to, when they have, what do you say, hard labor or something. Well, yeah, let them come out and do something that good. Clean up the place.
4 municipal police officers suspended after the murder of acting Corporal Anushka Eversley have returned to duty. Corporate Communications Manager for the Police Service, Joanne Archie, confirmed today that the 4 constables resumed duties at the San Fernando Municipal Police Station nearly a month ago. However, she said a superintendent remains suspended as investigators continue to probe the case. Eversley's body was discovered at the San Fernando Municipal Police Station, which was also robbed of guns and ammunition. The 42-year-old had been beaten and strangled. 3 men have since been charged with Eversley's murder, along with firearms trafficking offenses linked to weapons and ammunition stolen from the armory. Meanwhile, a police audit to determine exactly how many firearms and rounds of ammunition were taken, that's still ongoing.
Sigoni's up next with the weather. Let's check in to see what she has for us.
Stay with us. We'll have the latest on sea conditions before you head to the beach or offshore.
Need to open a bank account? There's no time to make the drive to stand in line. Get ready. Opening an account with Republic On Board is easy from anywhere at any time, even while waiting for a food order. So you don't have to skip lunch. Republic On Board. Fast, easy, secure. Visit www.republiconboard.com to open your account today.
My man Andre. Good night, Anthony.
7 years with the company, and we couldn't do it without Antoine.
Happy birthday, dear Alejandro. Happy birthday to you.
Who's Angelo? We're like coworkers who don't forget your name.
I'm Angelo.
CG United. Good like that.
Textbooks, screens, late nights. Your eyes work hard through every class, exam, project, and deadline. Ferrara Optical has eyewear specifically designed to reduce eye strain so nothing holds your learning back. For a limited time, youth get a free frame with lenses from just $495. Scholars get frame and lenses starting at only $750. And lifelong learners save up to 30% off your purchase of advanced lenses like Eisen and transitions. Less strain, more focus. Your vision without limits. Visit Ferrara Optical in store today. This promotion is NLCB approved.
Get a loan at Bremont. The process is simple. Fast and efficient approvals. Receive funds within 24 hours once approved. And no penalty for early repayment. Located at 4 Gallows Street, Woodbrook. Remember, we like to lend.
The ambassador-designate of the State of Palestine to Trinidad and Tobago is calling on Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar to remain steadfast in government support for Palestine.
Dr. Linda Sobi Ali is urging authorities to continue advocating for the protection of civilians, respect for international humanitarian law, and accountability for what she describes as ongoing atrocities against the Palestinian people. Her appeal comes just days after Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Minister Sean Sobers defended his recent courtesy meeting with Israel's non-resident ambassador and Mashav Director General. His meeting drew criticism from sections of the local Muslim community over the engagement. During a virtual media briefing today, Dr. Ali said Palestinians are watching developments in Trinidad and Tobago closely and are concerned by what appears to be increased diplomatic engagement between this country and Israel.
As a human to human, to continue to advocate for the liberation of Palestine, for the creation of two-state solution, and for a just cause of and international law for all the Palestinians. And I am sure she is kind-hearted, she's wise, and she knows the suffering and the injustice that we are going through.
While acknowledging that Trinidad and Tobago has a sovereign right to determine its own foreign policy, she questioned Israel's efforts to deepen relationships abroad while the war in Gaza continues. She's now asking whether humanitarian projects overseas can erase the suffering endured by Palestinian families.
I am just wondering, is the same people that destroyed Gaza and sat on the rubbles and soldier making fun of the suffering and the killing of children, those are the same people coming to help in the Caribbean? Are they coming to wash the blood on their hands of Palestinian families and children by doing a project here and there?
Well, we are still awaiting a response from both the Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs on the concerns raised by the ambassador.
The Public Administration and Appropriations Committee is tonight raising serious concerns over the former Minister of Health's involvement in determining which pharmaceutical suppliers were paid by NIPDEC. The issue arose as the committee examined how hundreds of millions of dollars owed to suppliers were prioritized at a time when funding was an issue. Health Ministry Permanent Secretary Asif Ali explained the Health Ministry normally secured funding from the Ministry of Finance and transferred it to NIPDEC to pay pharmaceutical suppliers. He said separate loan funding went directly to NIPDEC. By 2022 and 2023, however, outstanding debts had outstripped the ministry's available allocation. Questions then turned to former Minister Terence Dialsing's involvement. Ali said he advised Dialsing before sending at least one of the emails concerning proposed payment adjustments, but insisted he did not seek the minister's approval. That explanation drew further scrutiny from the committee.
I'm putting to you a hypothetical to show you how utterly ridiculous it is, with the greatest of respect to you and the greatest of deference to you, this story you're trying to sell me, that you went down there merely to inform the minister what you were doing and not seeking his approval. I'm sorry, I have a very real difficulty with accepting that, Mr. Ali.
Ali continuously denied any wrongdoing and reiterated he was not seeking then-minister's permission. Before adjourning today's sitting, Chairman Singh said something is clearly rotten.
In other news, opposition leader Penelope Beckles is raising concerns about possible political victimization over worsening water shortages in Arima and parts of East Trinidad. Beckles said some communities that had a regular supply before the 2025 general election are now facing prolonged disruptions, with residents in Valencia West reportedly without pipe-borne water for almost 3 weeks. She says residents have also raised concerns about whether workers responsible for manually controlling water distribution are acting on instructions from senior officials. Beckles is now questioning why Arima is experiencing these problems and says despite millions of dollars being allocated to improve the water supply, residents are yet to see the benefits. It's now time for the weather forecast with Sigoni. Sigoni, quite a cold day in the office, but outside was, listen.
It was hot.
It was roasting. I had to go outside just to, warm up a bit. I stood in the sun for 30 seconds and I was sweating.
So we're in for more hot temperatures. Not enough, however, in terms of the recorded temperature to warrant a hot spell just yet. It has to get above 34 degrees Celsius. We've been hitting 33 degrees all week long thus far, and we're in for some more of that temperature into tomorrow's forecast. So more heat on the way. Stay cool, stay hydrated when you can. Find a nice shady area and really just kick back and relax, because out there it is hot, it is humid, it is really wickedly warm. And on top of that, we also have Saharan dust haze in the mix. So it is at a mild to moderate concentration right now, but we are seeing some more dull and dusty conditions on the way just over the African coast and already pushing through the Atlantic, making its way toward the Caribbean island chain. Not a lot of moisture in the atmosphere, however, but we could see with some low-level bits of clouds rolling in and some moisture rolling in on those easterly trades, we could see a little pitter-patter into the forecast, and with daytime heating. So local conditions now could play a role into whether we get some downpours or not into the next couple of hours. But again, we will be looking out for intensities between light to moderate showers if we do get any precipitation. And as the week progresses, we hope to see what else will play out in our forecast. But it's relatively dry for the most part. If we zoom in a little bit closer for Trinidad and Tobago, this is where we're seeing some shallow cloud pockets that's just moving in across Trinidad and Tobago tonight. Earlier today, we would have gotten 1 or 2 quick passing showers. And by quick, I mean it was here for a few seconds and then gone again. We could see a little bit of that into this evening's forecast. And with it, relatively clear skies. Just a dust haze in there mixing in, but not a lot to talk about. In terms of our temperatures, we remain quite warm into this evening's outlook. Both islands coming into the mid-20 marker there, just around 26 degrees, barely getting into 25. But we could still see a quick passing shower, especially for those of you in Tobago. Into tomorrow's outlook, again, more heat, more humid conditions. We could see our temperatures again approaching that 33 degrees Celsius marker for Trinidad. Tobago comes in at 32 degrees, but your feels like temperatures will be approaching the upper 30s, and that's where you want to stay cool and hydrated at all times. A quick passing early morning shower in the forecast and just a gentle breeze for inland areas. We could see a heavy downpour developing, and with it, the possibility of some gusty winds in the mix there. Now, for offshore conditions, the winds remain light, picking up slightly, and our waves are approaching 2 meters. Again, no significant marine weather activity happening here, so smooth sailing for those of you heading offshore. But everyone else, hey, if you're even at the beach, have an umbrella on hand, those big, nice beach umbrellas to keep yourself shaded and cool, and have some nice coconut water, just something to, keep your electrolytes up as the heat packs a punch.
Stay very hydrated. All right, thank you so much, Sigoni. Let's study what's still to come in the news. Beyond the Beetham headlines and stereotypes, you'll find a community built on resilience, faith, and family.
Heart disease is the #1 cause of death in Trinidad and Tobago, driven by 2 silent threats, diabetes and high cholesterol. But now there's a powerful ally, introducing Berberine Plus by Asia Nutrition, clinically proven to stabilize blood sugar and keep cholesterol levels in check. With 99.9% pure extract, you get superior absorption and real results. Available now at Pennywise and leading pharmacies nationwide. Berberine Plus, your heart deserves better.
Things don't always go as expected. Be ready with Trinry for auto, home, business and group life. Call us at 800-TRIN or visit trinry.com today. Huge insurance premium. Pay your premiums bit by bit with FlexiPay from Trinry. For more manageable auto, home and commercial insurance payments, call us at 800-TRIN or visit trinry.com today. Trinry. Premier insurance coverage for less.
The biggest party in sport is back. Catch every TKR match live and exclusively on CNC3, August 7th through September 20th. You don't want to miss the action. The Republic Bank CPL 2026, only on CNC3. Passion, energy, and cricket live here. Brought to you by
Homeland Security Minister Roger Alexander is tonight confirming that a law has been proposed to Cabinet to make it mandatory for citizens over the age of 16 to carry a valid form of ID.
A cabinet note suggesting such has been widely circulated online, with PNM Deputy Leader Sanjeev Budu raising concerns about its potential use for oppression.
In June last year, Minister Alexander first announced his intention to bring such a law, which is now being reviewed by the Office of the Attorney General.
This is coming at a time when government is seeking to bring legislation to raise the drinking age to 21 and gambling age to 25. Well, 11 years ago, the Ice Bucket Challenge became a global phenomenon. Despite its popularity, many didn't realize it was meant to raise awareness about a progressive neurodegenerative disease called ALS.
Well, as awareness of the disease fades for some, one local neurologist says younger patients are being diagnosed with a devastating condition. Here's more in tonight's Wellness Wednesday.
Wellness Wednesday, brought to you by BioStrand. Get what you need naturally.
Here I go. In 2014, 17 million people poured ice water on themselves to raise awareness and funding for ALS research and patient care. For many, it was their first time hearing about ALS, a progressive neurodegenerative disease that affects nerve cells control involuntary muscles, leading to muscle weakness, atrophy, and eventual loss of movement, speech, and breathing. When Hollywood actor Eric Dane revealed his ALS diagnosis in 2025, he went from this.
This is Nathan James calling Gustavo Barros. We just took out your air wing, and you didn't lay a glove on us.
To this.
When I told you I couldn't use my hands, you said I couldn't live alone. Fine. The guys at the station, they got me.
And though ALS is commonly seen in patients between the ages of 55 and 70, Dane died this year at just 53 years old. Information on the number of ALS patients in TNT is not readily available, but neurologist Dr. Avidesh Pandey says he and his colleagues have seen an uptick in younger patients being diagnosed with ALS, some in their 30s. And getting a clear diagnosis takes time.
With ALS, it's really the absence of other conditions to account for your symptoms. So, for example, most patients with ALS develop progressive symptoms. So they will initially seek treatment because they may have limb weakness, right lower limb. So at that point in time, some physicians may try to do a scan to make sure it's not a stroke, and it may come back normal. And then you've got to follow that patient up in time to determine if there are now progressive symptoms now to maybe the other limb, to the hand, to the throat, which affects swallowing.
Dr. Pandey says from the time initial symptoms present themselves, the countdown starts.
Unfortunately, it's about 3 to 5 years from the diagnosis or the initial symptoms to death. So it's a very slowly progressive, but progressive and catastrophic process.
And though there is no cure, Dr. Pandey says treatment options are available locally that can slow the disease's progress. The Ice Bucket Challenge has become a distant memory for millennials and boomers 11 years later. But the over $200 million that was raised helped to fund the discovery of new ALS-linked genes and a new drug treatment. For Eric Dane, his last words are for everyone still willing to fight.
Fight with every ounce of your being and with dignity. When you face challenges, health or otherwise, fight. Never give up. Fight until your last breath. This disease is slowly taking my body, but it will never take my spirit.
Brian Pinero, CNC3 News.
Wellness Wednesday, brought to you by BioStrand. Get what you need naturally.
I remember the Ice Bucket Challenge very well. Did you ever do it?
I don't think so.
I don't think I ever did it.
I'm really
well.
glad that Brent did this story to remind us of our awareness.
I wonder if Jassy did it. We have sport up next. Jassy, did you do the Ice Bucket Challenge?
Unfortunately, I did, but I didn't understand fully the effects and certainly the cause for that challenge many, many years ago.
Yeah.
And again, just like Rhea, I'm happy that Brett has shed some light on this disease.
On the sporting note, things don't look so good for the Defence Force at the moment.
No, not quite, Ryan. The Soldiers placed third in the CONCACAF Caribbean Cup, but if they must go further this time around, they'll have to shake off a 3-0 defeat against Haiti's Violet AC in their 2026 group opener. And the FIFA president called staff to an emergency meeting as the fallout from his World Cup sell-off plans deepen.
If you could see what the future holds, you'd see that while things change, you've still got it. You are strong, resilient, inspiring, and you won't be defined by time. You'll own every minute of it because you were made for more. Discover how Alive multivitamins by Nature's Way help you age vibrantly.
Visit Tire Clinic Marketing, New Truck and OTR Tire Service Center at number 30 and 32 Montrose Main Road, Chabonas. Call today at 665-8973 or 672-3419. Alignment services available. Tire Clinic Marketing, Truck and OTR Service Center. A tire for every need.
Welcome to Holiday Inn Express and Suites.
Do enjoy, Stacey. You want some coffee?
Can I have a bit?
Perfect then.
That's exactly what we need.
Hey, the pool is this way.
Whatever you're here for, we're here for you. Stay smart at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites.
If you could see what the future holds, you'd see that while things change, you've still got it. You are strong, resilient, inspiring, and you won't be defined by time. You'll own every minute of it because you were made for more. Discover how Alive multivitamins by Nature's Way help you age vibrantly.
School closed and traffic light, so your house could finally get some attention. And at ABC Doors and Windows, our regular prices going on vacation too. From July 25th to August 8th, shop our mid-year home upgrade sale and enjoy a minimum 10% off store-wide. Get 10% off wooden doors, steel security doors and locks, 15% off windows, quartz countertops and aluminum sliding doors, and 20% off SPC flooring. Before the back-to-school rush starts, upgrade for less at ABC Doors and Windows, number 1 Chanka Trace, El Socorro South.
Welcome back. It is time for sport. The West Indies surrendered to an 8-wicket defeat on day 4 of the second test match against Pakistan at the Queen's Park Oval today. The result allowed Pakistan to level the 2-match series at 1 apiece. After closing day 3 on 103 for 6 and a lead of 60, news that Brandon King would play no further part in the match turned 4 wickets in hand into just 3. Without even moving the needle on the 4th morning, the home team lost a 7th wicket, Kemar Roach, for naught. Shamar Joseph tried to play on the counter-attack with 2 fours during his knock, but with 115 on the board, his partner Justin Greaves took his leave, bowled Muhammad Ali. Joseph was the last man to fall. 2 runs later, the West Indies bowled out for 117 inside the first session, a lead of 74 runs. Spinners Ali Usman and Sajid Khan claimed 4 wickets each for Pakistan, who then set about their chase with immediacy. Perhaps too much so, as they lost Imam ul Haq, caught Greaves, bowled Jaden Seals for 9, but Azan Awais and Abdullah Shafiq formed a steadying force until Awais was bowled by Joseph for 18 with 42 runs up. They were 57 for 2 at lunch and wasted very little time in knocking off the remainder after the break. Shafiq and skipper Babar Azam were on identical scores of 24 when the series levelling 8-wicket win was secured at 77 for 2 with a full day and more to spare. Shafiq, for his unbeaten 160 runs in the first innings, was player of the match. Well, the West Indies was denied accomplishing their first series win at home over Pakistan in 26 years. But failing to end the summer unbeaten is the greater source of the captain's anguish.
We wanted to come and win this series 2-love or even try to get this match ended in a draw. So it's us having after spoke about the things that we want to achieve in this home summer. These past two series, we played some really good cricket. We've been improving as a team, going in the direction that I want us to go. But obviously still disappointed with this result. We wanted to have 2 test series win at home. As I said, we wanted to make this the fortress and come out undefeated. But it is what it is. We just have to learn and go forward and improve.
Switching to track and field, Ronaldo Moore added TNT's first CAC Games medal in that sport, nipping silver in a photo finish just before news time tonight. Rajiv Surat Singh reports on the day's action.
Team TTO's Ronaldo Moore powered to a silver medal in the men's 110-meter hurdles, producing another impressive run in Santo Domingo. Moore crossed the line in 13.56 seconds, finishing just behind gold medalist Guadalupe's Ulrich Portier, who claimed the gold in 13.46. The bronze went to John Paredes of Colombia. TNT could yet claim an 18th medal at the Games and a second on the track, with Aaron Charles into the men's 200 meters final. Charles recovered from a sluggish start in his semi, exploding off the bend and powered past the field to win in 20.51 seconds. Puerto Rico's Adrian Canales also advanced automatically to Thursday's final. Tasia Badal's women's 200-meter campaign ended in the quarterfinals as she finished 5th in 23.40 seconds, missing out on a place in the semis. Badal was back on the track just moments later, this time in the women's 400-meter final. Battling through pouring rain, she could only manage 6th in 52.69 seconds. Home crowd favorite Maria Lady Paulinho claimed the gold in 48.94, while St. Vincent's Shafika Maloney won bronze. Rajiv Surat Singh, CNC3 Sport.
Well, in just over an hour from now, Trinidad and Tobago athletes Imani Mills and Alexi Henry chased spots in the World Athletics Under-20 Women's 100-meter final. Both sizzled in prelims in Oregon today.
Alex Henry, she ran the relays with Trinidad and Tobago.
Trinidad and Tobago's World Athletics Under-20 Championship campaign began with Alexi Henry in lane 3, boasting a season's best 11.21 seconds, alongside Australia's Zara Hagan with a best of 11.16, the 2 fastest athletes entering Heat 7 in the women's 100.
They're away first time. Good start by Henry.
Hagan came forward at around the 40-meter mark to win the heat in 11.40. Henry's 11.55 and Carlotta Supini of Italy's 11.57 were automatic qualifiers into tonight's semis. Henry gets lane 3 in heat 3 at 9:05 p.m. 5 minutes earlier, Imani Mills is in lane 1 in semi-final 1, although she was just outside of automatic qualification from her first round heat, placing 4th in 11.57 seconds. It was one of the fastest losing times and 21st fastest overall in the prelims. Jamaica's Tiana Lee Terrelong in 11.21, Germany's Emma Goretzka in 11.29, and Canada's Elizabeth Tannis in 11.54 were the automatic qualifiers. No such luck, however, for TNT's 2 100-meter male sprinters. 16-year-old national champion Alex Sipasad had a tough assignment in lane 9 and was well off his personal best of 10.16, clocking 10.51 for 5th in his qualifier and 38th overall. Michael Cruz of Brazil won in 10.37. Guyana's Onesi Dunn clocked 10.38 in second, with the 3rd and final automatic spot going to Waza Matakule of Botswana. Another TNT sprinter, Trevon Stewart, placed 4th from lane 1 in his heat and 26th overall in 10.41 seconds, with 3 qualifiers actually slower than him, but snatching automatic spots from a slower heat. Domestic club football champions, the Defence Force, suffered a tough start to their 2026 CONCACAF Caribbean Cup on Tuesday night, falling to a 3-0 defeat to Haiti's Violette AC in Group A.
Go for first in this one. Hosting the Defence Force in the Dominican Republic, Haiti's Violette AC were out flying, putting Defence Force under siege with a barrage of attacks and shots on goal. The TNT champions struggled to gain a foothold, spending much of the opening stages on the back foot, while the Haitian outfit dominated possession and dictated the tempo. No surprise then that Violette struck first, with Mishneda Sherry finishing from close range in the 13th minute after a pinpoint delivery from Elvan Dejean. Defense Force grew into the match and showed signs of a fight back, digging deep to keep Violette at bay for stretches, but as the clock wound down, their resistance finally crumbled. The Haitian side striking twice late to turn a tight contest into a convincing 3-0 victory. First, Jean-Louis Clifford doubled the lead in the 73rd minute with a superb left-footed strike from outside the area, once again set up by Dejean. And Dejean completed a standout performance by getting on the score sheet himself in the 86th minute. The 3-0 result leaves Defense Force with work to do in Group A, aiming to bounce back in their second match, hosting Suriname's SV Brocky on August the 20th. Rajiv Surat Singh, CNC3 Sport.
Well, SV Brocky will kick off their Group A campaign on Thursday night against another Trinidad and Tobago team, tackling TTPFL runners-up Club Sando at the Hazley Crawford Stadium right here in Port of Spain. The visitors may actually start as slight favourites, according to Club Sando head coach Angus Eve, who addressed the local and visiting media this afternoon.
The preparations have been a bit difficult. But based on the fact that we don't have a league going on in our country and we had to replicate match practice by playing a lot of scrimmages among ourselves and games against some pickup teams. But other than that, the guys have been very enthusiastic, they've been very willing, they've been attentive to what we want to try to do in this tournament.
Club Sando and SV Brocky will kick off at 6 p.m. on Thursday. Now, with his job security becoming increasingly under pressure, FIFA President Gianni Infantino convened an emergency meeting of FIFA staff in Morocco today. General Secretary Matthias Grafstrom heads a long list of FIFA higher-ups called to this meeting, which follows Infantino's U-turn on plans to seek private investment in a company to run the World Cup. Those plans were met with strong opposition and criticism the world over, and in an email from Grafstrom to staff disagreeing with Infantino, he called the fiasco, quote, a sad and reproachable series of events, end quote. It is the latest gaffe that has reportedly led to a massive loss of confidence in Infantino's leadership of the global football body. Now for a look at sport around the region.
The Republic Bank Caribbean Premier League is partnering with regional health authorities to provide free health screenings for fans at all 8 tournament venues. The initiative aims to tackle the growing issue of non-communicable diseases across the Caribbean by making health checks easily accessible. And in football, Salcedo FC of the Dominican Republic enjoyed a dream start to its CONCACAF Caribbean Cup campaign with a 2-1 victory over Jamaica's Portmore United at the Hazley Crawford Stadium. Daniel James Lee opened the scoring in the 32nd minute before setting up Anielo Gomez to double the Dominican club's advantage just before half-time. Javier Brown pulled one back for Portmore United early in the second half, but Salcedo held on to secure all 3 points in the tournament debut for both clubs. Samaki Felician, CNC3 Sport.
All right, none other than Trinidad hurdler Ronaldo Moore runs away with tonight's Sport High.
After an even start from the 8 finalists, as they cleared each obstacle, the leaders soon emerged. It came down to the lean at the line, where Trinidad and Tobago's Ronaldo Moore dipped his upper body across the finish in 13.56 seconds to snatch a thrilling silver medal in a photo finish, also battling his way into tonight's CNC3's Sport High.
All right, thank you so much, Jassy. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
Heart disease is the #1 cause of death in Trinidad and Tobago, driven by 2 silent threats, diabetes and high cholesterol. But now there's a powerful ally, introducing Berberine Plus by Asia Nutrition, clinically proven to stabilize blood sugar and keep cholesterol levels in check. With 99.9% pure extract, you get superior absorption and real results. Available now at Pennywise and leading pharmacies nationwide. Berberine Plus, your heart deserves better.
Concerns over racial tensions nationally have prompted an emergency meeting tonight in Tobago. Politicians and other stakeholders are at a masjid to discuss how to address the situation.
Let's go to Stefan Nicholas for an update.
I'm at the Lowlands Mosque right now for what has been described
as a critical meeting of stakeholders to address escalating racial tensions in the country. Chief Secretary Pali Augustine is expected to attend, as well as religious leaders and other interest groups. Muslim community leader Kamil Ali said tonight's meeting is pivotal to get leaders to tone down the rhetoric. He said the Muslim community is concerned about what is happening and is urging leaders to set a better example. After tonight's deliberations, a joint statement is expected to be made. Within the last 2 weeks, the nation has heard a derogatory term used to describe the Prime Minister in an intercepted private phone call. The Prime Minister has repeated that term several times in social media posts. On Emancipation Day, the heckling of Culture Minister Michelle Benjamin added further fuel to the fire as the PNM and UNC accused each other of stoking racism. Tobago held its own Emancipation Day celebrations and parade without any controversy, and Ali is hoping after tonight's meeting they can chart the way forward for a Rainbow Twin Island Republic. Stefan Nicholas, CNC3 News, Lowlands.
Thank you so much, Stefan. And of course, we'll have more on that meeting across our platforms. Well, for some, the sound of Beetham Gardens could conjure images of crime and poverty. But behind decades of headlines lies another story, one of resilience, family, faith, and community.
That's right, Rhea. CNC3 News visited the community to hear from residents who have lived there since its earliest days, uncovering a history many believe has been forgotten. These stories will surprise you. Otto Carrington tells us more.
Long before Beetham Gardens existed, the area east of Port of Spain was home to sprawling informal settlements built on reclaimed lands bordering the Gulf of Paria. Families lived in makeshift homes constructed from pallets, scrap lumber, and galvanized sheets in communities commonly referred to as shantytown. During the late 1960s and early 1970s, government began relocating many of those families into a planned housing development that would become Beetham Estate Gardens. The community takes its name from the last British-born governor of Trinidad and Tobago, who served between 1955 and 1960.
They bring people and come back down Shantytown, and then they decided to build up here. I think they started to build up here in can't exactly remember, either 1970 or 69, somewhere around there. So we moved up here in 72.
Beetham resident Carlton Joseph Thomas has spent more than 5 decades calling Beetham home. He says one of the biggest misconceptions is that Beetham Gardens itself was once a shantytown, although the community would later become associated with crime and social challenges. Residents insist another side of Beetham has largely gone untold. Thomas proudly points to his own family. All 4 of his children attended university.
One is a pharmacist, this one is an accountant, my son is an economist, and one is a chef and she have a degree in business too. All born and grew up down here. And I have plenty of that. I have doctors from down here. Lawyers, all kind of thing. People don't know about them.
Older residents remember a very different Beetham. Children played freely in the streets. Neighbors looked after one another. Community events brought families together. Electricity was scarce in the early years, and mosquitoes and flooding were common. But residents say those hardships were met with unity. Faith also became a cornerstone of community life. Today, 3 religious denominations continue to serve the residents: a Roman Catholic church, a Spiritual Baptist church, and an Ethiopian Orthodox church. For decades, they have provided spiritual guidance, youth programs, and support for struggling families. More than 50 years after the first families moved into Beetham Gardens, residents say they want the nation to see beyond the stigma. For them, Beetham is more than a headline. It's a community built on hope. Otto Carrington, CNC3 News.
Some really interesting stuff about the Beetham Gardens
Day. Great to learn about it.
Well, ahead of our Independence Day, we ventured across the country asking citizens, what does Trinidad and Tobago mean to you?
Every night we'll be bringing you one patriotic response. Here's what one person had to say.
Despite everything else, a place of safety,
when you look at everything that's happening all over the world, despite whatever we may have here, I consider it home, safe.
All right, that's how we end the 7 p.m. news here. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maria Rambali.
I'm Ryan Beachu.
I am Jassy Marik.
And I'm Sigoni Mohammed. Have a good night.